Last Thursday evening at approximately 4:30, Spalding County and the city of Griffin suffered a direct impact from what we believe were 5 tornadoes. The National Weather Service shared with us late last night that Spalding County and the city of Griffin were impacted by 2 EF1s, 2 EF2s, and 1 EF3 tornado. In the immediate few hours following the tornadoes, our 911 center received more than 2,000 calls for service. There were reports that our center was inoperable. This report was inaccurate. The volume of calls received in the first few hours was so significant, the system performed as it is designed and pushed overflow calls to our neighboring county 911 centers to ensure we were responding to our community as quickly as possible. EMA Director Glenn Polk and Fire Chief Mike Bird immediately stood up our County Emergency Response Center and began working through the local emergency operations plan within minutes of the event. Realizing that our community would need significant support, and the initial damage reports that were coming into our EOC requested and received state support from our Georgia Emergency Management Agency, Georgia State Patrol, Department of Natural Resources, Forestry Division, Georgia Defense Force, along with support from our adjoining city and county partners, Fayette County, Coweta County, Henry County, Upson County, Houston County, Pike County, along with the city of Fayetteville, Peachtree City, the city of Fairburn, and Task Force 4 from Georgia Search and Rescue, along with many other volunteer organizations. We are very thankful to Governor Kemp, our local delegation consisting of Karen Mathiak, David Knight, Lauren Daniel, and Marty Harbin, along with our federal delegation, Raphael Warnock, John Ossoff, and Drew Ferguson. We have been in close contact with our local delegation and federal delegation, each of whom are working diligently in support of our recovery. The first 24 hours, our first responders and partners from across our region, along with our state partners, worked to ensure and account for the welfare of all of our neighbors. Parts of our community were not accessible by vehicle. We had members of our search and rescue teams walking through much of our community to check on citizens trapped by debris. One comment I found notable by one of our Sheriff's Department deputies was when he reported, "Major, the forest has stood up, walked into the road, and sat down." There are families, friends, and neighbors who lost their homes, their businesses, and many within our community who have had no power since Thursday evening. It is a blessing to report that Spalding County and the city of Griffin have had no storm-related fatalities. Spalding County Sheriff Darrell Dix, City of Griffin Police Chief Mike Yates, and the Georgia State Patrol, along with their outstanding teams, worked to respond to the initial calls for service, direct traffic, and support our public works departments and utility companies to open roads for first responders. At this time, I would ask Sheriff Darrell Dix to step forward for comment. Sheriff.
Good evening. Once again, my name is Darrell, D-A-R-R-E-L-L, Dix, D-I-X. I'm the Spalding County Sheriff. When the calls initially first came in, they were being answered by our Uniform Patrol Division as they were being dispatched. As the call volume grew, we put out an all-hands-on-deck call, which meant that every certified officer that we have with the Spalding County Sheriff's Office began responding. Many of them responded from their homes immediately to the areas adjacent to their homes and started handling calls from that location, and also calling in additional units and additional spots where there were trees down, power lines down, and possibly people in houses. Our deputies then began responding, some of them with chainsaws, and began cutting their way to houses, trying to clear roadways. We had other deputies that were able to get to some of these people that were injured and literally carry them out to where they could get to a roadway get into an ATV or a UTV and get medical assistance. Our people perform very well. Also during this time, I was in contact with Griffin Police Department Chief of Police Mike Yates, and we began working the problem together. There were uniform patrol officers from the city of Griffin that went into the county to assist us with calls, and I in turn sent people into the city of Griffin to begin assisting them with calls. Everything we could do to work together for the greater good of what was going on and what we were having to do. We have seen volunteers step out and step up across the city, everything from stopping and giving bottles of water and Gatorade to law enforcement officers and public safety officers and linemen who were working in these areas to restore power and to get people off or out. And we have also had the opportunity to see a lot of prayer. We have had officers that have been stopped by people on the street and just asked if they could pray with them and pray for them. We have seen the same thing with our linemen, and the outpouring of love and support by this community is amazing. Even heard a gentleman on the radio today and also on Facebook who called for a truce between all gang members that are in this county right now, that their concentration should be on getting out and helping people and to just leave each other alone until we can get through this crisis, which I thought was absolutely amazing. Thank you again to all of our public safety partners that responded. Thank you to the many volunteers, the 911 center dispatchers that often go overlooked, detention officers, because right in the middle of this crisis, we lost power to the Spalding County Detention Center. We have about 500 to 525 inmates in that facility right now. There were no injuries to inmates. There were no injuries to staff, and we were able to keep things secured, feed inmates, and conduct business as normal because of the professionalism of those detention officers. So once again, thank you. Thank you for coming out. Thank you for supporting us, and please keep us in your prayers.
Thank you, Sheriff. Our initial work focused on life safety. Our team is very thankful to our community for their patience and allowing our first responders to focus their attention on taking care of the injured and clearing our roads for those responding to calls for service. Today we have transitioned into recovery. Our intent is to provide a daily media brief for the progress we are making, and we want to say thank you to Red Cross. We have 2 shelters open in our community right now. The first is at First United Methodist Church, located at 1401 Maple Drive, and the other is at City Park Gym, located directly behind Wellstar Hospital. Our Griffin Spalding County school system is providing a fixed bus route to deliver those needing support from County Fire Station number 6, located at 1843 North Hill Street Extension, and City Fire Station number 1, located at 310 North Hill Street. The buses that we are using will deliver people from those 2 locations to our shelter and return them should they need that. At this time, I would ask that Ms. Jessica O'Connor, the city manager for the city of Griffin, to step forward and share with us about the city.
Good afternoon. My name is Jessica O'Connor. I'm the city manager with the city of Griffin. I just first wanted to reiterate the blessings that we feel because we have not had any fatalities with this storm. We do have about 1,500 homes impacted in the city of Griffin, and immediately after the storm we had over 10,000 customers that were without power. Because we are a full service city, we do provide Griffin Power to a lot of our residents and county residents. I am pleased to announce that at this time, at about 3:30 this afternoon, only 2,700 remained without power. So that is good news because we did sustain 60% of damage to the major part of our system. So the backbone of our system, which comes from our substations and feeds out, 60% of that was damaged in this storm. Generally what happens in a storm is the service lines are damaged, so you will see somebody at your home pretty quickly restoring power, In this case, we can't get to your homes because our system doesn't go there anymore. So we are starting from scratch to rebuild that system, which is why it is taking so much more time than what you may normally see in a storm event. We do, however, have 27 different Georgia cities here with us that are helping us rebuild our system. We have 2 contractors here with us, and we have staff from the Electric Cities of Georgia that are helping us design and engineer that system. We also have crews from Alabama and Florida that are helping us. And of course, our own City of Griffin crews are here as well. With all of that, we have over 150 line workers working as we speak. This morning I was able to go out and thank a lot of them that were here, make sure that they were taken care of, and make sure that they were going to areas that were impacted. We have crews working at every quadrant of the city. So with 29 total circuits, every single affected circuit has a line crew on it as we speak. They will go until dark, and even sometimes after that when they can get to a stopping point where it is not dangerous to continue. From a public works and water, wastewater, and stormwater perspective, we also have a lot of damage there. To sidewalks, we have missing signs, we have missing traffic signals, and so all of that we are auditing now and trying to figure out what remains that needs to be corrected. We have 5 road closures, some of which are partial, some of which are full. Some of that is because of the electric crews working. In order to rebuild that system, there needs to be a bucket on every single pole, so it is unsafe for somebody to try and drive down the street when you have buckets on every pole. So that's why some remain closed. Others remain closed because there's still too much damage to be able to get down the street. We also have sidewalks that will need to be repaired because huge trees from the 1800s uprooted them, and so that will have to be assessed once we're able to remove the debris. Our stormwater culverts and our drainage ditches are also of high importance right now because we have a rain event moving in tomorrow. So we have worked diligently today to get those cleaned as much as we can. We have taken out ATVs, we have taken out drones to assess what that damage is, because we also provide wastewater. So our sewer outfalls were impacted with debris, and we are working to clear those as quickly as possible too. We also will begin removing debris, we hope tomorrow. We have contracted with a company to come in and help us with that. We are asking our citizens to help us as well, and the ways in which they can do that is to make sure to get their debris to the right of way, so as close to the curb as possible without impeding the street. And then also by sorting it. So if you have construction and demolition debris, you put that in one section, and then any kind of yard waste and vegetation would go in another section, so we can collect that for you. There is still a lot of work to be done in this community, but what I have seen over the past several days has been inspiring. Will never wish a storm like this on anyone, but to see the outpouring of support and love that we have shown each other is something that I will never ever take for granted again. It doesn't just extend to the partners that we have in our community, that the government agencies that exist, with the nonprofits that exist, but just neighbors helping neighbors, strangers helping strangers. It has been a huge impact in our community, and I will be forever grateful for that. I don't think there's anything else except for...
Thank you, Jessica. At this time, I would ask that Adam Pugh step forward with our Griffin Spalding school system. Adam.
Good evening and thank you. Griffin Spalding County School System will be closed tomorrow, Tuesday, to students and staff. Wednesday, staff will report, but it will remain closed to students. Beyond that, there are a number of variables that will still determine whether or not school will remain closed to students. So additional announcements will be made once that is determined. We do have 5 properties at this time that are still without power. We had minimal structural damage, or to no structural damage, so our buildings are in good shape. Some awnings over walkways, some air conditioner units off of rooftops at a few of our campuses, but for the most part the school system fared very well, all things considered. Today being Martin Luther King Jr., Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day, I'm reminded of a quote: all people can be great because all people can serve. And we've seen that put into action today. There's so many of our school system staff and also from the community that are out assessing the needs of our families. which is refreshing. It's tragic, and we have great empathy for all the families of staff members and students that have been impacted, but it's great to see that a tragedy or a natural disaster can bring out the best in people, and that'll be our focus. District staff will be helping to serve and volunteer tomorrow, and working to assess the needs of our families. We know of at least 400 families of our students that have been displaced from their homes. We know of at least 40 from our staff that have been displaced at this time. So we'll be working on their social and emotional needs and continuing to support them as we continue to assess to determine when school will resume. Just so thankful to all of the partners, all those that are working to restore the utilities here in our community. It's really, we're very thankful for all the support.
Thank you, Adam.
My pleasure.
Just as an update for Spalding County, we're working with Georgia Department of Transportation and our contractor SDR for debris collection and removal. And as the City Manager, Jessica O'Connor, indicated, please know that our GDOT partners will collect trees and vegetation from our rights-of-way on state highways, and our contractor will work on county roads as the contractor for the city will work on the city roads to remove all of our debris. We're asking everyone, please do not work to remove debris within the rights-of-way of these areas. These areas remain dangerous because the electrical lines remain entangled within the trees and vegetation. We're very thankful to our volunteers, and we are asking all who can support our needs toward recovery to please come and support us. Our request is that we allow our utility companies to work in the public rights of ways, specifically our public works departments in Georgia DOT, but also know there's plenty of work for us to perform toward recovery. There's plenty of areas that we can work. If you would like to volunteer, we have a volunteer hotline established. That number is 678-453-4508. This line also serves as our donation line. If you're unable to volunteer but would like to donate needed items, please contact our volunteer hotline, 678-453-4508. Late this afternoon, we were informed that FEMA is working in the area of Spalding County and the city of Griffin on their initial assessments. If you see a GEMA or FEMA representative in the area, we are asking that we allow them to continue their initial assessment work in support of our recovery efforts. At this time, I would like to ask our EMA Director, Glenn Polk, to step forward for his comments, and after that, we will be more than happy to answer any questions. Director.
Again, my name is Glenn Polk. I'm the Spalding County Emergency Management Director. I want to share with you that today we began our transition from our response phase to our recovery mode for this tornado disaster that we experienced last week. Our Emergency Operations Center will remain in operation to coordinate our resources to assist our partners in their objectives to care for our community. This is going to include our continued calls for service, in addition to now providing a volunteer reception center that will direct volunteers to meet our citizens' needs. The center is going to be located at our Spalding County Senior Center, located at 885 Memorial Drive, with the hours of operation being from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. each day of the week until further notice. Or if you'd like to volunteer, we also have a tab on our spaldingcounty.com website for the Griffin Spalding Tornado Relief if you'd like to register there to assist. Another component of our recovery operation is going to include a donated goods warehouse that accepts donations, and it's going to distribute these goods to our community. The location of our donated goods warehouse is 220 East Solomon Street here in Griffin, with the hours of operations being to drop off and or receive donations being 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. each day of the week until further notice. We would like to ask that no clothing be brought in for donations. Again, our phone number if you want to volunteer at any of these locations, and our call center to help us coordinate any assistance is 678-453-4508. 988-986-4508. We also have established a crisis mental health phone line that's available for our community, and that number is going to be 988. Spalding County and our response team is so indebted to our mutual aid partners, faith-based organizations, businesses, community members, and so many others for their assistance in this response and care for our community. Thank you.
At this time, we will open it up for any questions that may be asked. Yes, ma'am.
Question for you. The hotline, is that also the same number that residents would call if they need the assistance?
That is correct. Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Good question. All right. Any other questions? All right. Thank you so much. Yes, please.
When you talked about schools earlier, it says teachers will be coming back on Wednesday, but for students just kind of keep in touch, or is there any kind of a place where you can go to and just keep track of that for parents to know?
Mr. Q?
Yep. Good question. There will be announcements that will be sent, and also the school system's website will be updated. But at this time, we've determined who will report on Wednesday, but we haven't determined beyond that. We've still got so many bus routes that are impassable, still power outages and other factors to consider. But at this time, staff will report on Wednesday. Those staff that do report on Wednesday will be helping to account for the needs of our students. We sent out surveys immediately the day after the tornadoes hit our community, just to assess who was displaced, what are their new alternate addresses, what kinds of needs exist, so we can work with these partners to try to provide those needs for our families. And many have filled out the survey, but many still have not. And so we'll be making house calls, phone calls on Wednesday to try, and many of our principals and their staff have been doing that yesterday, today, just trying to account for our students and figure out what their needs are and where they are.
So at this point, safe to say not before Thursday or not before Friday?
Well, at this point, we've determined that students will not come to school Tuesday or Wednesday, and there'll be further announcements to update them on what to expect beyond that. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. All the more reason why we're going to do a daily media brief so that we can inform our community of the changing events. Yes, ma'am. Any other questions? All right, at this time we'll conclude our briefing for today, and it's our intent to have a second briefing tomorrow, and that coordination will occur through our public information officer, so we'll let everybody know. Thank you.